Welcome to Making Sales Simple, podcast by Helen Tebay, sales lady. Okay, so welcome to the latest podcast episode. We've joined with the lovely Hannah March from Lumos Marketing.
Hello.
Nice
to have me.
That's all right. Hannah and I met in an impromptu situation where we both went to a networking that wasn't particularly very fruitful, but we ended up sitting next to each other, didn't we? And the rest is history. We just networked together and do a lot of stuff together.
We do, yeah. It was very opportune. It was great.
So tell us a little bit about Lumos Marketing. Who do you help? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm Hannah. I am a strategic marketing consultant. I've been running my consultancy for about 3.5 years now, which is staggering. It's gone very fast and slow at times as well. So essentially I work with business owners, business leaders to create marketing strategies that align with and support achievement of their business objectives. So I guess slightly more practically put, I help business leaders sort of understand what it is that they offer, the customer groups that they're targeting, and really importantly the value that they're creating for each of their customer groups. And then we'll look at the best ways to find their audience and reach them with really effective messaging. So that's more of what I do in a practical sense for businesses.
You gave a really good analogy actually when we were together last, and I think it was around a shopping list and trying to make something from it. Yeah. When you go shopping, do you want to tell everybody a bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that I talk to businesses about quite a bit is not rushing to what I would call the marketing outputs. So the stuff that we typically view as marketing, things that we see and interact with, websites, brochures, booking events, stands at events, ads, etc. So as much as those things are great and we want to implement, obviously, our marketing, what we really want to do beforehand is make sure we've got a solid strategy in place beforehand. We've really looked at those fundamentals and we've got a plan to follow so that we're not wasting that time, money and energy on the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think of going into Aldi, without a shopping list. You'll end up spending some money, you'll get some stuff, but you probably get home and you can't really make what you wanted. And for me, it's kind of a similar experience.
Yeah.
If you rush to the end and the exciting bit, so to speak, you might like some of what you get, but is it really going to move the needle? Is it going to get you the results that you're looking for? Probably not so much.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, really good analogy. So today we're going to talk about a thing that I hear so much that comes up, and it's always the root issue for why people are not making sales. They're not getting the leads, they're not getting sales calls booked in their diaries or visits to customers, and it is the offer you're offering. What is it that you're giving people? How are you talking about it? And for me, there's always two things that move the needle for this. If you want more sales calls booked in, you want more leads, you want more activity, it's the quality of the offer. So what you're saying to people and the volume of the offers and how often they are hearing it. Otherwise you can do a lot of stuff, but if it's not chiming with them or they're not hearing the bits that they need to that make it think, I think that's offers for me, I think that would do what I'm looking for, and they're not hearing it often enough, it's going to be really hard for them to take the next step with you and book either whatever that next step is for you, the sales call or buying on that link or whatever it is that you're pointing people to. So tell us a little bit about your take on the offer. Where do you see it falling down a little bit for people?
Yeah, I think actually more businesses than you might think really struggle with this because it seems quite a simple thing, doesn't it, really? But I think, one piece of advice that I would give is it's not about you, it's about them.
Yes.
I think it's really easy for us to get quite entrenched in the internal workings of our own business, of course, what we're selling. But that mindset can then, can make us just list features and talk about products and services when we should really be talking about value creation, what our customers want, what they need. And I think putting it back and talking to our customers in their language so that they feel seen, heard, understood. Yeah. And you're showing them, quite literally, this is for you because I've based this on you. You are my audience.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Because that's going to be really relatable. And if something's relatable, you're going to either follow the button, press the follow button, you're going to ring the bell on LinkedIn, you're going to want to consume more of that person's content. Wonder what she's going to post next. oh, that was really helpful. That was right as if she was in my head. I've said those thoughts, you know, those exact words. And where do we get that language from in the first place? How do we get that from customer into your head and out into the message?
So I think, this comes back to the customer understanding piece. And I really encourage my clients, and obviously anyone listening to this, to start really understanding your audience. And more often than not, you know, we'll have multiple customer groups. We won't just have one. And you know, I really encourage people to start kind of profiling. So that's, say, climbing into the minds of your consumers. And there are various ways of doing that. I think actually business owners will know far more than they might realise.
Yeah.
They might just need an extractor, you know, a facilitator to bring
like you, an extractor.
Extract that knowledge. And also, but they might need to be supplemented with research. You know, focus groups, questionnaires.
Yeah.
Do you do that at the beginning of your interaction engagement with a client? Do you do it at the end? How can you capture more data in your process? But I think sitting down and really taking the time, I think that's probably the bit that's missed really, is take the time and think, actually, how well do I understand in this customer group that I'm going after? Where are the gaps? How can I fill those? And really getting this detailed picture of what are they trying to achieve? What are my customers really trying to achieve? What's the benefit to them? And then what hurdles, what obstacles are they facing? And does my offer align with that? You know, can I reduce and minimise some of those obstacles, and can I deliver against what they're really looking to achieve? And you know, if that alignment is strong, then you've got a really good value proposition there, and you're going to connect with your audience.
It's going to be a no-brainer, isn't it? They're going to reach out and book that consultation, or do a site visit, or click on the link, whatever it is that you're pointing them to go and do.
You've got to help them understand why you're good for them, and I like to talk about, you know, the so what test. Why should they care? Why should they care about what you're saying? You know, we stand up and we talk about what we do. And again, it's just, you know, it's quite humbling really, but just ask yourself, why should they be interested? Why? So what? But if you've really understood your audience and you know you're going after the right people because you can offer them value, then, you know, then they should be listening, and they should be, you know, that message should be really resonating. But I think it starts with a focus on your audience, one, ensuring that you've chosen the right target audience in the first place, and then you're constantly gathering that intel. I think that's the other thing. It's not a sort of one go situation. This is an iterative process.
Your business will change and your customers will change. When I look back, and probably you're the same, 3.5 years ago, similar sort of time frame for me, my customers are completely different to how they were in the beginning. You know, in terms of their revenues, the money that they want to make, the problems that they've got. It's a similar theme, but it's more an established, what they say is more established. I've tuned into it more.
Yeah, your customers are your best source of information, aren't they? And it's sometimes thinking, what is it that they've said to me when they approached me, or when we had that first consultation? What they're kind of the triggers, you know. What sometimes we can forget that actually, and it's like, what were the pain points? What were the problems that or sometimes the problems, or what did they want to achieve? They might have sat down from a very positive angle and said, we want to grow, I want to earn more money, I want to have more leads, which is kind of, you know, but I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. And put that back into your messaging, because they're the words that are coming out actually of your audience. When they hear that back, they're going to go, yes, absolutely, as you said before, that's what I'm looking for. So again, it's just putting it back.
So we're sat on a huge pot of intel that we can access straight away. So if anybody's looking at this right now, one of the tasks that I give my clients to do is to go back from the last, I don't know, like 10, 20 sales calls that you've had. If you've got a Calendly link, what did they type in when you're asking them for starters? If not, get that question in there. What are you looking to achieve? What problem are you looking to fix? And see how they say it in their words, because you might be sitting going, well, clearly they want to look at the fiscal improvement of revenue over like the longevity of the business, and they're going, what the fuck is that? And no one would ever say that. You know, I never have anyone sit down and say to me the corporate speak that people think they have to mark it up, and when they mark it up, they lose the essence of it. So go back and see like the last 10, 20 calls, what was the problem how did they describe it? And the second thing is, I always think, do this as if you're sitting down with a friend having a coffee. What would you say to them? You wouldn't be talking about fiscal revenue and responsibilities. You just wouldn't. I don't know who your friends are, but I'm guessing my audience that we don't say that. We'd sit down and go, shit, I need to get some sales in. Like, oh God, it's hard work at the moment. No one's buying. God, I just need my diary to look different. I just need some more leads coming in. I just need this like up and down to stop. It's causing me so much anxiety. Go and say that in your marketing. Like, don't try and market it up because you're going to lose the essence of what that meaning was in doing that.
Yeah.
And then they'll just scroll by. They'll think that's for a corporate company. That's not for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to speak the language of our audience, and I think when there's a lack of clarity about actually who our customers are, who we're targeting, that becomes difficult. When there's a lack of understanding, it becomes generic, and that's where we talk about targeted marketing. That's what that means. I think we hear it a lot, but really that's what people mean. But we can't be targeted unless we have that nuanced understanding.
Yeah.
So ask, research, use absolutely what's already in front of you. And I think don't be afraid to say, actually, we've got some gaps in our knowledge here, and what can we put into our process to capture more of that intel so that we can use that in our marketing going forward. But absolutely, if you've got clients already, you've got so much data and intel that you can already go at. Definitely.
Good. So what kind of top tips have you got for people who are either looking at launching a new offer, or they've got an existing offer that they want to sell more of, they want to double down on the sales, they want to get more sales calls booked in, more leads. We're going to need that offer to be really compelling to allow those people to take the next step. So what kind of things come to mind from you as a strategic marketer, Hannah, that would help the audience to do that?
So I think that would come back to, maybe writing your offer down so it's really clear on a single piece of paper, and then looking at that not in terms of the products, or service or the features, but in terms of the value that you're creating. So asking the why. What is it that people really want? You're selling a car. People want to get from A to B. They want to get to work. They want to see their friends, etc. Keep asking the why, because what is it that people are really going to come to you for? That's going to get you away from presenting and talking about your offer and considering it in just practical terms, because products and services alone don't create value. They only create value in relation to a customer group and what their wants and needs are. And I think that's important, because especially when constructing an offer, we're probably going to focus, because we can't help it when it's our own thing, on all of the intricate practical details. It's this. This is how I'm going to do it. And again, we can get really entrenched into that internal thinking, and it can become quite boring and stagnant, and it's got no life, because it's meant to be about value, not about the thing that you're doing. So as soon as you say, when I read your content, if you're stuck, you want to make more money, you want to open your bank account. These are real things that people will be thinking and will be doing.
These are things that people have said to me, and that also I have said to myself as well. You are quite good with thinking of your own customer at times, aren't you? In terms, you've got all the knowledge in your own head. We just have to access it.
And that's great, because that resonates. That's really compelling. Whereas if you said, I'm a sales coach, I am going to do X, Y, Z, you can come and have sessions with me. Doesn't mean a lot. It's not particularly, you could take it or leave it, because you would be just describing, you'd still be describing your offer, but not from a customer point of view. It would be more the practicalities of what you offer, and it would really be about you. Whereas you start talking about what you can really do for people, and they're going, oh, that's what I want, that's great. So I think when people think about offers, it's absolutely, again, got to be in relation to your audience and that value piece. But I think spending some time getting clarity, my biggest thing that I always say to clients is use pen and paper, and if you're a team, get everyone in that room, because you're going to get some really interesting perspectives. Don't just get senior leadership team, don't just get managers, get a really good mix of people from around the business, and practically start writing this down on a piece of paper, on a whiteboard, and have a look at it. And try and map that look at that in relationship to your audience, because a lot happens when you do that, and I think not enough time is necessarily given to that process. We just kind of go, oh, I'm going to put that out there, and then there's no traction. Spend that time at the beginning doing the strategic work, again, getting people involved, reflecting, you know, and looking at your offer in terms of the value that you're creating, because also you might make adjustments when you look at it from that point of view.
From the customer point of view rather than your own. Yeah, because you can think it's the best thing in the world, but it really doesn't matter. It's whether your clients and customers think it's valuable.
Exactly.
You know, because I've worked for a business before where they put something out into the pharmaceutical industry, and we were screaming from a boots on the ground sales team that is not what pharmaceutical people want. And they didn't sell any of it, and they burnt a lot of time and money in doing it because they were like, we can't understand this. I'm like, when was the last time, as a marketeer working in that business, did you go out and set foot in a pharmaceutical facility? And they're like, we never go out, we're not customer facing. I'm like, that is the wrong answer.
Yeah.
Like, that's why this hasn't worked. And we've talked about this before, and not to go too much off on a tangent, but this is if you've got a team of people working together. Sales and marketing traditionally have not always got on, and I've worked in 2 or 3 businesses where that has been the case. You have a theory for this, don't you? And we talked about this, about one being like longer term and the other being short term, like focus.
Yeah.
Just explain that and what you can maybe do to bridge that gap if you are a sales and marketing team member listening to this.
Yeah, and as you say, it's quite common. I do hear this. I hear it quite a lot, and I think we've both experienced it. And it's funny, really, because you think, actually, common goal. You know, you're all really part of a commercial team, but I think quite often there can be a lack of kind of unity because there's not necessarily been an all-encompassing message. There's a lack of unity between the two teams. They are coming at it from different perspectives, undoubtedly. You're going to have different personalities, and I do think, you know, obviously I'm kind of slightly biased. I'm always going to come at this from a strategic point of view, and obviously there are marketers that are very much on the ground, on the output, shorter term kind of perspective. But I think you know, sales teams, they're driven by maybe slightly different things. You know, they've got KPIs to hit, they're on commission. They're probably, you know, a bit more reactive and short term thinking based potentially. But I think it's just, if they spoke to each other and they were on the same page and they understood that actually they're helping each other, because the knowledge that the marketing guys can give to the sales team to use, and then that feedback, for me, it's always the bit that's missed. As you said, when you're client facing, the sales team, my word, you guys can soak up so much information. You're in front of the customers. That feedback loop into the business and back to the marketers in terms of the customer understanding, to then get more leads. I think that's the loop that's quite often missed, actually. And then there's a clash because it's like, I think there's just a misunderstanding about what the role of marketers and, you know, the sales teams are doing. I think if they sat in a room and really said, you know, what do you do and what's your purpose and what are we trying to achieve, they'd realise that they're on the same team and they can utilise each other so much. I think maybe that's the bit that is missed because they can be quite siloed functions within businesses.
I would say that is a really good description of how it felt as well. And I think if you're tasked with growth, commercial growth, revenue growth, customer growth, making more sales, making the phone ring more, sales and marketing go hand in hand. So if anyone's listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, I think we've got some silos, I think just get that feedback loop together, get them in the same room and try and change that, because I think we would have made more money, would have made more impact, would have helped more customers if we'd have done that, for sure. And that is our job as sales and
same
marketers.
Team, different approaches, but same team, same goal.
Love it.
Absolutely,
So, have you got any more little nuggets of pearls of wisdom there that you can share for top tips that we haven't mentioned already?
I would say resist the urge. If you don't have a current, you know, marketing strategy or marketing plan in place, you haven't done that piece of work, don't worry. But I would urge businesses not to rush to maybe the bit that feels quite exciting, which is having meetings with agencies, hiring designers, getting stuff out in print. As much as that feels like you're being productive and you're being proactive because you're doing something, often you can spend a lot of time and money in that area, and then you don't necessarily get the results or the traction that you want. So before doing that, I would encourage businesses just to reflect on some fundamental questions and make sure that they've answered those first, such as, you know, are you clear on what your offer is?
Yeah.
Are you clear on your target audience? Have you built strong value propositions and tested them in the market? Do you have a channel strategy, aka do you know how to reach your audience? Have you agreed the channels that you're going to focus on? Ask yourself, you know, these relatively kind of simple questions. And if quite a few no's are coming up, I would revisit that part of the process. Just maybe pull it back on the output, so that then you have a really solid foundation and base before you start pouring your sort of time, money, energy, or resource into the implementation.
Yeah.
You know, you need both. You know, don't implement without a strategy, but once you have a strategy, you need to execute that.
It's like sales and marketing again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sales just want to go out and get it. Let me go out and sell it, let me go out and talk to people. And marketing are like, just hang on a second, let's check we've got this right first.
And I get it, I know it's exciting and it's such a draw and we all want to do it, but the last thing we want to do is pour a load of energy into things that aren't ultimately going to work, because in the end we're going to be frustrated and we're probably going to end up coming back to those fundamental questions anyway.
And they are really simplistic questions, like who are you selling, what to, and why, and what are they going to gain from it? Like that's it.
Yes.
And I think for us, what I've written down here is, I hear this a lot where people think it's not enough. Whatever they come up with, they think that's way too simple, that's not enough. So we put more in. And it's a bit like making a cake. Well, if you put more eggs in, does it taste better? No, it probably, you get your soggy bottom, don't you? Nobody wants a soggy bottom. We don't want a soggy bottom in business either. So like, you will be sitting there thinking, this is really simple. This can't possibly be valuable to someone. Like, there's times when I worry about, do I really have to tell people that they need to make sales calls? This should be a given. I can't possibly, that's just way too simple. But actually guiding someone through, no, this is important for you to do all the time for these reasons. This is what the effect is when you don't do it. This is the effect when you do it. Is highly valuable for someone.
Yeah, and I think that's to get that reassurance, because I totally agree with you. And I think that's why going back and just looking at the notes that you made in all of those consultations and seeing actually, no, people said they seem simple because when that's your subject matter expertise, but to, you know, people like you work with, people I work with, if you are helping, you are helping. And actually, I think go back, and if they've said those things that they're struggling with, absolutely, that's what they need help with. We don't need to overcomplicate it, because that's when people can walk away, because when there's no clarity, what do? We've been on, you know, websites, will be on social, we just move on to the next, and we find an offer that makes sense to us and that's really clear and really simple and that we get. So don't give people a reason to walk away from you.
I love that. I love that. Make it really compelling. You've got to answer the question, the so what question. So if you're inviting people to a consultation call and you don't know why it's valuable and what they're going to get from it, then they're not going to know. And so no one's going to book it. So you've got to answer these questions for yourself first. I think to summarise, but it's about you, not them. The other way round, it's about them and not you. It's about them. It's always about them, not you. Who is your customer? What are you selling them to? What are you selling to them? I'm getting a problem with my words today, aren't I? How is that valuable? Why do they find that valuable? What is it? Ask your customers if you don't know. And you can just do polls on LinkedIn. You can ask people when you're networking, what are you going to find really valuable about marketing? What can I tell you about? What can I do more content on, more videos about?
I think that's actually an area that's really underutilised, because especially when if you do email marketing, or you do, you know, there's a way that you communicate with your audience already. Say you've got an email list, and you've got your sales process. You know, are you sending them surveys and questionnaires? Are you sending them, you know, to give you feedback and, you know, quantitative data and qualitative, you know, is that within your process? Because if not, it's a huge missed opportunity to learn so much, and people will want to share that.
I've just written it down, Tom.
It's a big thing that a lot of us don't do, right? So I think, so, you know, these are really simple things that you can implement straight away if you've already, you know, if you're already communicating, you've got things set up. ask questions to your audience, and then you just build out your profile.
Yeah, I'm learning so much. I love doing these episodes because there's always something I'm reminded of. Last time I was talking to Meg Roundall Green from MRG Coaching, and she was saying about we have to have a clear call to act, and it's got to be the thing that whatever you've got, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it's conversation, we want to make sure that everything is pointing to the one thing that you want them to do. So it funnels down. It might be consultation call, site visit, book on this link, whatever it is, it's that one thing. And she said, I'm going to go and check mine to make sure that... And I was like, I'm going to go and check mine too. And it was a bit convoluted. I looked back and I thought, it's not like smack you in the face clear. We could be clearer at this. And then I've just been reminded, you've said, then why don't you just ask them? And I teach this all the time. I think I must have said it in about 4 voice notes this week. Why don't you ask your audience what they want? And then you'll know what to post. Now, I do ask my audience quite a bit, but I've just thought of a couple of different ways that we can do it. So, Tom, there's a little job coming your way. And audience, like, watch out for it. But I love this because it's helpful for me to hear this over and over again. You can't hear it, like, enough. There's always something that you're reminded of.
Absolutely, and I'm sure, you know, as well, we probably suffer from the, you know, you do great for your clients, but as soon as it comes to your own business, you know, it's kind of, it's always difficult to do for yourself. And that's another reason why people actually work with external specialists in, you know, in every sort of different, facet of their business, because sometimes you just need an external person to be a facilitator and an extractor, and it's not that something's being done for you, it's absolutely being done with you, but it can just be really difficult to do that for yourself. We're too close to it,
we're too emotionally vested, and we need that healthy challenge of, why do you think it's a good idea? Who's told you it's a good idea?
And so, as you said, it's constant reminder for us is also absolutely constantly asking. I ask myself these same questions. The advice I give to my clients, I ask myself the same questions all the time. Am I being clear?
Really good.
No.
And when I do a post, I run it through a few filters, and I'm like, is this clear enough? Have I said it with too many words? Could you say it more simpler, punchier? If I do that, do I take the language out? Is this actually what my clients would say? Is this what I'm, you know, I think the best guess what they're going to say? Someone told me this. Does it tell them about the value? Does it tell them, has it got a call to act on it? So I run like a couple of filters through when I'm posting as well. Sometimes we get it wrong, you know, like, and if anyone's out there looking at my posts and there's something that you see that you haven't got a call to act on that, Helen, please do just drop me a little message on that. It's helpful. It's really helpful.
As well, don't you, by doing learn what gets engagement and what resonates. You see when you've really hit on, say, a pain point, or something that, you know, your audience is really looking to achieve. And that's also, you know, part of that trial and error is take that learning back and save it somewhere, and, you know, revisit, you know, when you've done all your planning on paper, keep adding to that, because it's iterative. It's never going to stay the same because your audience is evolving.
Love that.
You know, and sometimes I like to use this example, you know, the products and services will change, they will evolve, and they'll probably always be replaced by competitive, you know, alternatives. But you just hope that that's you in the end. But do you remember we used to carry around my CD Walkman back in the day, however long ago that was, you know, because I wanted to listen to music. And now if I want to listen to music, I'll go on Spotify and I might play that through my Alexa. Now, the need has remained the same. I wanted to listen to music, I wanted entertainment, but the way that I do that is completely different. So the products and the services that exist have changed, but the need, which is again why we must focus on the satisfying the customer need and not our products and services, because they will evolve and they will change over time. But the value that we're delivering to someone will stay the same.
This is just mic drop. We'll just
boom,
mic drop on that. That is amazing,
Bring
Hannah.
back CD Walkman now.
In fact, what piece of technology, Tom, for you, what piece of technology do you wish to bring back?
I wish I could play more on my Xbox, but I'm pretty busy, so.
Mine's like, I think they've done like some reconditioning of this, but mine was a little Sega Mega Drive. I used to love that, just simple times, 2 buttons and that was it, and like an up down, and you know, like nice and easy and simple. There we go. Lovely. So thank you so much, Hannah. Remind everyone, how can they reach you to book in some time to talk about strategic marketing?
Sure. So the best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. So if you just search Hannah March, you will find me. And then people can message me on there or find my email. on there.
Yeah.
But that is the best way for sure.
Brilliant. And if they're not on LinkedIn, what's the second place?
So if you Google Lumos Marketing,
Yeah.
you will find my website and you can find me there.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your insight. I've really enjoyed it. I've reminded myself of a few things. I'm sure it's been really helpful for my audience. Tom, you've got a few jobs coming your way. And I'll see you all soon.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you for listening to Making Sales Simple, a podcast by Helen Tebay, the sales lady. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow me on Spotify for more.